Hi, I'm often asked, can you negotiate with Canada Revenue Agency? And the simple answer to that is no, you can't, not unless you're bankrupt, and in which case then they have to negotiate. But here's basically how it works. The determination of the debt. If you stay on top of the game and make sure that the audit goes properly and make sure that if you're assessed, you object and keep the debt down to where it's supposed to be, your negotiating can happen at the audit level, where you're saying, I'll agree with you over here if you agree with me here. And a good auditor will work with you on those grounds to come up to an amount that you both can agree on. If you can agree on the amount, it's better for CRA and certainly for the auditor, because the audit's over, the debt is established, it gets paid, and everybody moves on. So if that doesn't happen and you fight and you end up and you say, okay, well, I owe X amount of dollars and I don't make enough money to pay it. At least I can't pay it quickly. So can I split the debt in half? And the answer is no. You can't split the debt. You can't negotiate like that. They're not even legally able to, at this point in time. I think the law is going to change on this, but they have to make a principled settlement. A principled settlement is we will accept you paying the tax on this amount over here. We will give up on that amount over there because we're not sure of ourselves, and so long as we agree on this amount, then that's a principled settlement. And that can be negotiated dealing with both the objection stage and the appeal stage. There is encouragement from the government to get settlements. That's what the government wants. They want to get it settled. They'd rather not find it in court. However, whatever settlement is, it has to be principled. Now, there's always the issue of penalties and interest. Section 220, 3.1 of the Income Tax Act says the minister can forgive any and all penalties. That's very straightforward. They have the right to forgive penalties and interest. Some of it, all of it. So what they have is a fairness committee. And you say, okay, now I'm confused. The minister, which aka the auditor, the team leader, can forgive penalties and interest. So why do we need a fairness provision, which will look basically to see if they should forgive penalties and interest? And in the whole process, they'll come back to the auditor and say, what do you think? So to me, what it looks like a fairness committee is a committee in place to say no. And also they say you have to have your taxes all filed. You have to have an agreement in place to pay your taxes before we'll consider fairness. And they'll consider an inability to pay because of extraordinary circumstances. And, it comes down, it's that old subjective thing again. Do they like you? Don't they like you? Do they feel sorry for you? Do they think they need to teach you a lesson? If you're traditionally a non-filer, oh, you're a bad boy, slap you down, and no, you're not getting fairness. And they don't really consider, the hardship of it. Another thing that's particularly annoying is they're a year and a half to 2 years behind even considering them. And if the fairness forgiveness could make the difference whether somebody goes bankrupt or not, there's absolutely no point in 2 years from now getting fairness if you're already bankrupt. You go, oops, sorry, no, you get the credit, you didn't need to go bankrupt, sorry. So it's a sad state of affairs when the government doesn't seem to understand the seriousness of and the lunacy of a fairness committee. Because it ends up, it's a discretion call. It's not that complicated. The person can't pay the debts or shouldn't have to pay the debt. And I'll give you an example of something that's particularly ludicrous. Somebody is mentally not well, going through hell, sick in the hospital, whatever. They end up with a big tax liability that if they'd have filed their taxes on time, they would owe zero. CRA has the legal right to collect that money. So you ask fairness, and you want penalties and interest forgiven. And they go, well, we don't like you, and you're a bad boy because you didn't file, and blah, 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 blah. So the answer is no. We're going to collect taxes on money you didn't really even owe, but they got you on a technicality. And the Fairness Committee can do that. Not fair, is it? The Fairness Committee is not fair. So the negotiating with Canada Revenue Agency comes in a different department of CRA and your trustee, where a consumer proposal is made and you say, I'm going to pay 25% of my debt, 30%, 40, whatever, so long as it's more than bankruptcy would get you. That's the negotiating that can be done at that level. CRA at this point in time is not easy to deal with. Trustees are all saying they can't believe how hard it is to get a consumer proposal through now, because CRA wants the money, they want to close the file. That's what it's all about, Revenue Canada. And so when you're hoping to negotiate, it's worth trying. It absolutely is, but don't spend the money, because you might not get the fairness. Thank you.